The turnout at his funeral in Port Arthur showed just how much he was loved and admired in this area. Just this week, the LA County Coroner's Office ruled the rapper's death accidental and attributed it to a combination of a sleep disorder called apnea, and prescription-strength cough syrup. And our guest this morning is Bernard Freeman, known as Bun B. He is one of those who was closest to Pimp C.
Good morning, and thanks for being here. Now, you were one of Chad's best partners, grew up with him, but you're going to be doing a concert tonight.
Yes, I am.
Now, this concert is following the release of the information which says that sleep apnea and syrup, and we know that syrup on the streets usually has codeine.
Absolutely.
When you heard that, what went through your mind?
Well, it was sad, but it's a definitely real thing. You know, living in Houston, Texas, being a person that affiliates with the common man on the street, we all know that in Houston, Texas, we have a problem now with the cough syrup epidemic. And while it wasn't solely the cause of his death, we have to be very real about the consequences to some of these things. Pimp C did have a prescription for it, but you have to be very careful when you get prescriptions for certain things, because sometimes you can tend to go a little too far with some of these things. They have very strong addictive qualities, pills and syrups and whatnot. So to anyone out there, you know, that thinking about sipping syrup or currently abusing syrup, you may want to take a very good look at yourself, a long look at yourself in that cup.
But in this case, we were told that the bottle did not have a prescription label on it.
Right. Well, I wasn't in Los Angeles, so I'm not sure exactly about the bottle itself. But in Houston, on the streets, there is an epidemic with the people sipping the cough syrup, and it's something that's going to have to be addressed.
Music as well.
Yes, there is
also
songs.
Big Mo, and then DJ Screw. Apparently, there might have been a connection as well with syrup there. Is it changing the music?
I can only speak for myself personally. You know what I'm saying? We had been toning down the content of certain things in the music lately. My new album, of course, probably won't have any references to cough syrup in it, but it's a little bit more than the music. I think it's going to start affecting the personal lives of a lot of artists and people in the Houston rap scene.
It was this in tandem with sipping which allegedly suppressed Pimp's breathing long enough to bring on his death. These are the actual events that would take place before, during, and after the death of Pimp C. Contrary to media headlines, toxicology reports would find that Pimp had not consumed enough drink to die from sipping. In fact, it was Mama West who was very vocal about Pimp's cause of death. Outraged and depressed both at the same time, Mama West tell anyone that would listen that her son had been poisoned.
Drank.
They was looking for drink.
And they found small traces of that. Not enough. They did say it wasn't enough to kill. Now, y'all do know they said it wasn't enough to kill him.
Yeah.
And he had a prescription for that. And they tried to blame it on sleep apnea.
Yeah.
And them both is what took him out, is what the coroner's report said.
Mama died saying my baby was poisoned with cyanide. Her wish was to raise up enough money to have the body exhumed, to do her own independent one.
Let's rewind. Chad Butler, a.k.a. Pimp C, married his wife, Shanara, in 2003 while he was serving time after falling behind on his community service obligations imposed after he pleaded no contest to an aggravated assault charge, which stemmed from an incident in which he brandished a 9 during an argument with a woman in Sharpstown Mall. 23 or 24 years old at the time that they were married, Shanara had known Pimp ever since they were kids. Per Shanara, she and Pimp didn't start dating until she was 20 years old.
I remember when Chad proposed to me. It was before I had my daughter, Christian. And for me, I was 23, 24.
After almost 4 years in prison, Pimp C became a free man just before noon on December the 30th of 2005. Pimp was released a month after he was granted parole. Pimp had served about half of an 8-year sentence on the aggravated assault charge. Since his incarceration in January of 2002, Free Pimp C had been a rallying call for rappers and UGK fans, not only in Texas, but across the country. Numerous rap stars appeared in music videos, concerts, and award shows rocking Free Pimp C t-shirts. In July of 2006, Pimp put out his second solo album, Pimpalation, and the first UGK project after Pimp's release, 2007's double disc Underground Kings, spawning the hit single International Players Anthem. featuring Outkast. Pimp, who had been welcomed home with open arms upon his release from prison, seemed as if he and Bun were on their way to the top. When Pimp was released from prison, there was no doubt that he was on a mission. His mentality was different, the way he carried himself was different, and his agenda within the music had changed. Time in prison seemed to have opened Pimp's eyes to a different perspective about the music industry. And similar to Tupac, when he first got released, Pimp stirred up a lot of controversy with his Ozone interview, calling out music executives fake rappers, and he would even diss the entire city of Atlanta. More importantly, Pimp talked about unifying Texas and squashing the rap beat within the music scene of H-Town. Unbeknownst to anyone in Pimp's circle, something sinister was brewing. In walks Larry Adams, aka Four Finger Larry, a D-boy from Jackson, Mississippi, who was running with Pimp. Some of the people closest to Pimp had no idea who Larry was. For example, Pimp's artist, 17 the Hog, would go on record stating that he knew Larry as L.A., and that's all that he knew of him.
Who was a guy named Buddy?
Man named Larry.
Okay.
We called him L.A. And I didn't know him. You feel me? When I got there, I didn't know him, but Pimp would always tell me, like, what L.A. say.
Going on to say that LA will pop up at shows and venues. In an unfortunate turn of events, Chad Butler, aka Pimp C, was found dead in his hotel room Tuesday morning, December the 4th of 2007. After answering a 911 call, the LA County Fire Department discovered Pimp dead in his 6th floor room in the Mondrian Hotel. Conflicting stories of what actually happened would take the music industry by storm. After nearly 16 years since Pimp's passing, Pimp's cousin Edgar would take to the Super Tight podcast to dispel the rumors and shed light on what actually had taken place the night Pimp was murdered.
Tell me about Buddy.
Buddy, the nigga who killed my cousin.
Got that from a reliable source.
Yeah.
Where did you hear?
So the story I heard, it was multiple people inside the hotel room.